Hey y'all, Mega Me here, and with Nintendo Switch 2 having been out for quite a while, I picked my system up on launch day. It happened to be the first video game system I bought at launch, and I've been playing on it quite often since then. I think it's safe to say the future of Nintendo Switch 2 is looking bright with all the new exclusives and third-party titles coming throughout the rest of the year and the next couple years. And I don't just mean the third-party support. We're getting a From Software game as a Switch 2 exclusive in 2026, and that in itself is insane. So I just want to share some of my first impressions of Nintendo Switch 2 and talk about my experience with it so far, including my thoughts on the system itself and some of the games I played on it so far. So first off, I just want to say that the Switch 2 feels like a big upgrade to Nintendo Switch in the same way that the 3DS feels like an upgrade to DS. And considering I never got any other version of the Switch, I just had the original version of it, the upgrade to Nintendo Switch 2 feels very massive to me. Of course, the Switch wasn't perfect with its Joy-Con drift, small little buttons, and at times very bad connections. It just feels nice and much bigger and more powerful than the original, allowing it to run more powerful games that wouldn't have worked on the OG Switch, including Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, Cyberpunk 2077, Split Fiction, Elden Ring, as well as that upcoming James Bond game that's in the works as well. Which goes to show the third-party support is also a massive upgrade, and the screen just looks cleaner than ever with its 1080p screen on handheld mode, while TV mode has 4K quality for those who own 4K TVs. I find it pretty good to play on TV, but I mostly play on handheld anyway, so even the 1080p screen is really just nice and colorful despite this not being an OLED screen. The screen is also much bigger than the screen of the OG Switch, making the footage sharper and putting the 1080p quality to good use. I don't think I'll ever play my OG Switch much, especially since it can play a majority of the Switch's library, with some others that have some form of problem that will likely be solved via an update, and some of those titles receiving an enhanced performance update on Switch 2 or Switch 2 editions. I tested Pokemon Violet on it and it looks so much smoother than the Switch 1 version. I also tested the Switch 2 editions of the Switch 3D Zelda games, looking even more beautiful and smooth on Switch 2. The Joy-Con 2 are also much bigger, making them much nicer to hold and use compared to the OG Joy-Cons. Plus, you can use it as a mouse, which is really cool. I just wish they had an option to change the cursor in the home menu to the Wii pointer. And the way they magnetically click onto the system and grip is really satisfying, maybe more so than sliding them into the OG Switch, as iconic as that is. I also like that there's a USB-C port on both the bottom and also the top of the Switch 2, which is a new addition. It brings me back to those days of playing Nintendo DS while it's charging, up on the top of the bottom screen there. There's also little things I love about it, like the loading times are faster now, which is really good. The little icons under the games in the home menu have these neat little sounds that play when you press them. The eShop actually doesn't run like shit anymore, and there's even the For You feature for if you want recommendations for games, so let's do that real quick. Nice. Also, I should mention that like the PlayStation and the app for that, there's an upload setting for Switch 2 captures, so you can upload your captures to the Switch app to have it available to download on your mobile device, which is heaps better than scanning a QR code for it.
Oh my god!
Now let's talk about something to look forward to for Switch 2, cause like Nintendo Switch has games, Nintendo Switch 2 also has games. I mentioned testing some Switch titles on Switch 2, but now I want to talk about some Switch 2 titles I played on the Switch 2 itself. There's more games Day 1 owners could have picked up at launch, but I only bought like 3 launch titles and was already spending enough as it is on the Switch 2. First off, we have the Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive launch title in the racing genre. That is Fast Fusion. I got you there, didn't I? Now, I haven't played this game a lot. I literally just started playing it recently, and visually it's gorgeous and it's such a fast racing game. If you're someone who needs an F-Zero itch to be fulfilled, this is the game to fill it. I never played any games from the developer Shin N, but it's a very solid racing game, and funnily enough, it's a cheap one too, for those complaining about the game prices of Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives now. And of course, we gotta talk about the new Mario Kart that launched with the Switch 2. Mario Kart World is a new take on the Mario Kart franchise with a new free roam, which lets you drive virtually anywhere, tackling missions from P-switches and finding collectibles throughout, which is fun. There's also the usual Grand Prix mode, which is the way to play Mario Kart with its own unique way to handle the tracks and expand upon them in their own ways. And the new Knockout Tour mode, which is basically a Mario Kart Battle Royale in a way, with plenty of characters to play as, including a cow for some reason, and costumes to gain for some characters and more. Easily a perfect launch title game for the system, not just for Nintendo fans, but for those who love Mario Kart, cause this game alone is selling the Switch 2. And then there's Deltarune, or I should say Deltarune Chapters 1 to 4, which is half right, cause Chapters 3 and 4 are the new stuff, and you can just buy them for one price while Toby Fox will add the remaining chapters via free updates eventually. But that aside, ever since Chapter 1 alone this game was peak, and because of it I played Undertale and loved that so much. Chapter 2 was somehow even better than Chapter 1, it was so much funnier and much just more peak, and then you have Chapters 3 plus 4. They'll both peak and add more to the story of Deltarune, which is shaping up really nicely. If Toby Fox is able to keep it up, Deltarune might be as good, if not somehow better than Undertale. And it kinda already is right now. But we'll have to see till the end to really see. Seriously, play Deltarune, play Undertale, it really doesn't matter, just play them at this point. There's also the GameCube Classic games if you own Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack, which I haven't started anything from, but for those who have a soft spot for the GameCube or just want to give any of those titles a try for the first time, like Wind Waker or Soul Calibur 2, or that F-Zero game they have there. And last but not least, Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which I can't say much about it since I haven't played it myself, but let me ask this. Do y'all remember when Astro's Playroom was a pre-installed tech demo for the PS5 at no additional cost? Yeah, this is basically that, but it's paid and less interesting. I don't know, maybe I'll check it out eventually. It seems like it could actually be decent, but for now, I'm all good. I do want to quickly talk about game key cards. I haven't bought any so far, and the only physical Switch 2 game I currently own is Mario Kart World. I'll be honest, the only ones I'd really consider buying for game key cards are Yakuza 0 Director's Cut and Elden Ring if that ends up being a game key card, while most titles like Dragon Quest 1 plus 2 HD 2D, for example, on Switch 1 I will pick up instead of Switch 2, and unfortunately it's not the fault of the third-party developers, but rather the fault of Nintendo for giving them only the options of 64GB cartridge and game key cards, because apparently 64GB cartridges are expensive. Nintendo just made this harder on everyone else because 64GB is not ideal for many small games, and because of it, they go with game key cards. The only exceptions I notice currently are first-party Nintendo titles, which thank God for that, Cyberpunk 2077 by CD Projekt Red, and games by Marvelous. Like, look at my Switch physical collection. I own all of these physical Switch titles. I love collecting physical games. I'm a physical guy all day, every day. There are times when I bought digital games, however, I'm not all a digital guy. It's convenient, I give them that, but I'm all for the physical media here. Like, first, PlayStation are sending out PS5 Pros with no disc drive, you have to buy them separately. Xbox is putting codes in all the physicals, while PS5 gets the discs, and on Nintendo, while still having true physicals, also doing these game key cards that let you download the game. One thing I have seen on the internet is even when it's downloaded, you do need the cartridge to play, so that's something. The problem is, in the future, if hypothetically Nintendo shut down their Switch servers and these game keycards become nothing more than a piece of plastic, because the game isn't on the cartridge, it just gives you a license to download the game and you can play it via the cartridge. I don't know if these recent sales are more or less due to game keycards or due to most of these titles being on other platforms already, but hopefully Nintendo see that game keycards are not exactly what we wanted. Whether you hate the idea or love it, just don't attack others if they end up buying a game keycard. I'm not a big fan of it either. It's kinda ironic, we all thought Nintendo would be the one company in video games that keeps physicals alive, and yet for the third parties, the game keycards.
You were the chosen one!
So let me answer that long age question since before the system was announced. Should you buy a Switch 2? Well, I'd say it depends. If you're expecting the next massive generational leap, the best bet you'll get is a PS4 to PS5 level transition only for Nintendo Switch. It's the sequel to Nintendo Switch, and that's all I really wanted from it. To me, Nintendo peaked their innovation with Switch, and Switch 2 is basically more of that, which I can understand if people were excited due to it just being the same thing as before. Much like how Nintendo was known for motion controls with the Wii, they are known for the handheld console hybrids with the Switch. So to me, it makes the most sense for them to do a more powerful Switch. Of course, not everyone can afford a Switch 2, especially with the prices of both the system and the games being higher than ever for Nintendo. And I can understand the prices if I'm being honest, and while it sucks, the prices went up because little Timmy won't be able to ask for the new Mario Kart because it's so expensive now. I can see that certain companies can get away with this, like PlayStation and Nintendo exclusives are important to both their systems, even when PlayStation inevitably ports their titles to PC within a year. We all know Rockstar is gonna make GTA 6 the most expensive video game known to man, and let's be real, they can get away with that too because they're Rockstar. And I'm not saying Nintendo shouldn't be on for it either. I'm a Nintendo fan at heart, but I'm also aware of the stuff Nintendo's done over the years. As for the question, it really depends. If you're someone who's just into certain titles, maybe it's not your time yet. If you love Mario Kart, great. If you love Donkey Kong, also great. But if you're waiting for the next big 3D Zelda or Mario, or even something like a new Fire Emblem or Xenoblade, or FromSoft's The Duskbloods in 2026, then maybe it's not your time yet, and that's okay. And even if you're waiting for a sale or for prices to get lower, that's also okay. And if you're someone who wants to buy one when you're ready, take your time. Take your time, there's no rush. And for those who already have one, which I noticed a bunch of online friends buying one on launch, if not long after, then y'all have fun. Don't let haters ruin your excitement for the next generation of Nintendo Switch. Plus, Nintendo confirmed they'll still support Switch for a while, at least in 2026 still, with the new Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven games on the way.
Did you want to talk?
So if you're someone who loves Nintendo and Nintendo Switch in general, and is a fan of most Nintendo franchises, then this would be your money's worth. But if you're a fan of certain franchises, and am waiting for those franchises to pop up, like say a 3D Mario or Fire Emblem, then it won't be worth it to get one right away, especially if you're not someone who doesn't really care about most of Nintendo's main lineup, because let's be real, the Switch 1 lineup in 2017 might be one of the best first years for any Nintendo system, if not the best first year lineup. And so far, Switch 2's first year lineup isn't perfect, but it's still pretty damn good. And I will say, as much as Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is a Switch title as well, I'm very excited to play this game on Nintendo Switch 2. It just looks so visually stunning, like a PS5 game, holy shit. It should be illegal for a Nintendo game to look this good.